So I just want to talk to you about the longevity of your career, nearly 15 years in the game, and you're constantly reinventing yourself, but also staying true to who you are. Do you think that's an easy task?
Yes, I would say reinventing myself is an easy task. I think representing it to the world is the hard part, because you kind of have to start again from scratch every time to kind of break people into different parts of who you are. I've been this artist, as far as I'm concerned, my whole life. I just kind of given it to people in spurts, but not really. You know, if you listen to my first album, Shine, and you saw my entire whole first run, to me, this is just now a more potent version of that. Putting out Lovers Rock was kind of like, and we are at base, and we're back at base camp. Because it's like the core is the essence of who I am. It's reggae music, it's soca, it's Afrobeats, it's African music, so we call it for Afrobeats, you know what I mean? So it's just my core, you know, it's like where I was raised, the childhood christenings and family parties, you know?
Yeah, so when I listen to Lovers Rock, I got that, right? So if we listen to you 1980, which I love, phenomenal, and it's hip hop roots.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you fast forward and you created an album about your parents' love story in 2018.
Yeah.
But that also has that Black music roots, right? So you have the Afrobeats and the soca and the reggae and all of the influences. What made you specifically focus on that love story as opposed to your own or your friends?
Well, everything is personal for me. Every one of these albums are personal. They're all written about my life in some way, format or another. This was kind of me just unraveling the whole story. I started to do like therapy and research and kind of, pull myself apart a little bit with this album. I started to write songs and they sounded like old songs. And so I felt like nothing was progressing. Like I wasn't moving forward as a human. And so for me, I wanted to just, you know, like I said, everything is real with my albums, so I can't give the fans the same thing, or I can't keep putting up the same music. And so as I started to do therapy and I started to kind of come to terms with everything that I was dealing with, the thought, the realization, I should say, dawned on me that I was kind of repeating my parents' love story. And it had nothing to do with my personal story. And I didn't want to do it anymore. And, you know, through talking to my mom, we came to the decision. It was kind of like, she was like, yo, rip the Band-Aid off. Just get it out in the open. Just clear it up. You can't heal anything or get past anything until you air it out. And this was the decision. It was like, she was like, well, tell our story. Tell why you are the way you are. Tell the reasons why you made these mistakes. Tell the reasons, you know. So that's what I've done, essentially. I think it's a beautiful story, though I also think it's kind of like a cautionary tale to be brave. I am working on like a second piece to this album, which is a documentary, which explains it further and goes a bit further down the rabbit hole and kind of deals with human patterns and, you know, the way we end up replicating what we see versus what we are supposed to do, you know, with our lives. You know, we kind of take the choice away from ourselves by just doing what we know versus trying something different, you know, and I feel like for 10 years I did that. And now I'm in a space where I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore, you know? And my parents are fully supportive. They're like, this is fine, this is great. Don't do what we did. And I'm just like, you're right, you know? First time, you're right. But so this was that. This was just like, this is a brand new day, you know? Like this album's out, everything's done, everything means exactly what it means. And here we are, I can start fresh, you know?
And so when you talk about therapy, because I feel like as a Black community, we kind of stigmatize that.
Which is crazy.
Was it easy for you to go to therapy? Like, was it just like, hey, these are the things I'm repeating and I need to go to therapy and I'm just going to do that?
The process went like this. I hit a point where nothing worked. Nothing I was doing, the people I was talking to, nothing worked. Everybody kept coming back around or looking at me like, you're supposed to have this figured out. And I didn't. And none of them had it figured out. And they're all going through their cycles. And I could see it clearly. And I was just like, oh, I'm not doing this anymore. So I kind of was like, well, how do I even start this? Then once I started with a digital therapy platform, Talkspace. And once I got on it, then it became the hard thing of being able to say the things out loud and not feel crazy and not feel nuts. I know crazy is a trigger word, but not feel like there was anything wrong with it, you know? And just and be okay with consistently saying that. It's something I'd had a hard time with. So it wasn't, to me, it was, I simplify it in the space of don't knock it till you tried it. Just try it, see what happens. You know, it may be something that you actually like. You ain't got to tell the world. I'm telling the world because I don't care. Like, whatever. I'm a better human being. Let me share how you become that. You don't have to tell the world if you feel uncomfortable, but I guarantee once you start letting go of some of the things or just unloading some of the things that have put you in that space in the first place, you're going to want to tell the world. You're going to share it with your friends who are going through their cycles. Hey, you might need to talk to someone other than me. Get that done, you know?
So when discussing that, I feel like Lovers Rock, you touch on a lot of things that I think people would be scared to talk about their parents.
Yeah.
And as the second oldest of 7 kids, what were your siblings, or 9,
Yeah.
what was the reaction of your siblings? Because oftentimes we view things differently.
Yeah. They love it. They love the album. They were the first to hear it. And they were like, we love that one, that one, that one, and that one. Go ahead, sis. Because they know I'm going to do what I'm going to do to a degree. The story part, the actual story, we've all been privy to it, you know, our whole lives, but hearing it at different stages in our lives. And so we all realize that their perception, my sister's perception of it, or my brother's perception of it is going to be different from mine, and different from mine as the first child of their union and having watched everything go down. It's going to be different. So it's kind of like, well, they don't really tell me anything because they're like, yeah, she's seen it all kind of thing. And I'm very careful I've been very careful over my entire career to not throw them under the bus or put them in a position that damages or hurts them. You know, I'm very protective of my actual siblings and in general.
Do you have a favorite track on Lovers Rock?
All of them. All right, I would say my favorite track is Good For Us, because in all of the album, it talks about makeups, breakups, all the good stuff, all the bad stuff, all the good stuff. I think that track, when I wrote it, was me, again, being in a space where I was just, again, projecting. And I have these songs on my albums where I project what I want my future to look like and I want my thing to be. And that song to me kind of is like, well, when I'm finally in something with someone I care about and they cares about me, here's what I'd like for it to look like. And I just want it to be on our terms, with our thing. And I don't care about anybody else in the world, you know? And I think my parents kind of made it back around to that point. And so it made sense to be on the album. But that was purely my thought process with that. I was like, well, how would I want it to be? I do want you to work and I do want to work, but also I want us to just be on a page, you know? And just, as long as we're on a page, we're good, you know?